Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. This is episode 37, and this is episode, Five of our 30 days of podcasting. And today what I wanted to do is a Q&A video. So I just took a few questions that people asked, and then we'll tear them out throughout this 30-day blitz. But yesterday on the podcast, you're going to want to go back and listen to that. I chatted with Pauline Murphy of Politan Marketing. She services mid to small size businesses with web design, branding, and with social media marketing. And she spoke with us about the importance of branding in your wedding business, how you can use branding in your wedding business, how you can book more with branding in your wedding business, all of those branding wedding business things. So you are going to want to go back to that episode number 36, and give that a listen. Also, guys, pretty exciting. Starting on Monday, the 22nd, I am going to be part of the Book More Brides virtual summit. So, you are going to want to get your free ticket. You can go to the show notes where I will have your link to claim your free ticket for the Book More Bride Summit, or you can send me a message on Instagram at I Do Wedding Marketing, and I will just send that over right to you. All right, now let's get to these questions. Some of them were fun. Most of them were relevant. Most of them were on topic, which of course we love, right? We like to be on topic. So the first one is how to manage client expectations. And you have to tell the client what to expect. And that's how you manage that expectation. This involves your branding. This involves your marketing, because what you're putting on your website and on your profiles, that is how you're letting people know. That's how you start letting people know what to expect from you. So that's going to be the level of service, the quality of service, what you provide, the turnaround times, the booking times, everything. That is all stuff you are going to want to have on your website, in your marketing. And that's going to start from the very beginning, managing those client expectations. In addition, sometimes the biggest client expectation when it comes to people planning events is expecting you to be on call at all times leading up to the event, right? You're going to be on call that day for sure, but are you going to be available a random Tuesday at 5 o'clock 4 weeks before their wedding? Maybe not. So the ways to manage that, because that's what I'm really thinking is one of the biggest expectation problems. And you guys can let me know and send me a message, and maybe we'll do a deeper episode on this. But little things like having in your automated response, let's say I fill out your contact form, right away you have a response saying, we typically respond between 48 hours, or we respond to our inquiries on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Mondays, and we respond via email or phone if you leave it. Or with many of the Instagrams, I will be updating the content and seeing the messages, but sometimes when it comes to sales, they they're not going to be able to be on the Instagram all the time to get that. So I will handle the message, but I'll also say for an expedited response, you're going to want to call us directly. So put that on your website if that's the best way to be in touch. You get to let people know how to be in touch with you. I've had vendors I work with who in the signature of their email have a big disclaimer added saying, we are receiving a high volume of messages during this busy time of year. Please be patient with your response time. So you really want to manage your client expectations by being ahead of letting them know what to expect. Don't wait to find out if they're a nervous bride or anxious bride, et cetera, groom. You want to just cover your bases right away. An example I have of this is I was going to an appointment and I got an email from them after we confirmed the appointment. And along with the email were instructions to find it, to find the office. And it was like, go past the train tracks and we're on your left side immediately after the light. You can park here, here, here. And it was like, wow. I knew everything to expect, and that was really great and relaxing. So it's okay to sometimes go a little overboard because, look, you write that document once, you include it in your emails for the end of time. So letting people know what to expect, even if you don't think you need to, right? So write it once, forget about it for the end of time. Maybe the end of time was a little dramatic, but that's okay. I've got my iced coffee here, guys. It's Friday. You hear that? Yeah, that's the iced coffee going. So the next question is, how can venues use TikTok? So venues can use TikTok the same way, anyone else uses TikTok, the same way they use Instagram, except you want to have a bit more, I think you want more entertainment value for TikTok. Instagram, I use as a live portfolio. So let's say if I were to do a reel on the ballroom, I can really get into details and maybe even a bit more length of time with the ballroom. For TikTok, I think I would want to do one of those transition reels where it's just like, the bippity boppity do boo one, where once the fairy godmother says bippity boppity boo, you see the transformation of the venue. I would want to do a lot of those. I think I would do one each wedding with a different type of transition audio or filter. And the reason why I would do this over and over again is because each wedding has a different look, each wedding has a different theme, each wedding has a different set of vendors working with them that you can tag. So a venue should use TikTok to be a really visual but fun. So it's not just about the portfolio of images, but grabbing people in really trendy, fun ways. And you don't have to go in knowing what to do right away. What I would do first, let's say you want to start a TikTok for your venue, I would make the account, or a account. I would bookmark ideas I like and watch what's being posted for the first week. Then that next week, I would go to all my saved inspirational posts, and then I would get started. Before I get into our next question, I do want to remind you that the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast is brought to us by the Your Real Weddings Photos Club for Wedding Pros. This is brought to you by Carissa Caruzzi Weddings. Carissa and I will be having a workshop launching later in the season together, but her Real Weddings Photo Club delivers real wedding photos, so photos from actual weddings to your inbox. You get 100 photos a month and 10 high quality videos a month that you can use on your website, your Instagram, your TikTok, your Reels. You can use all of that as if it is your own. It comes at an annual cost of $347 or as low as $37 a month. This is a great asset if you are building up your business and you don't have a lot of photos yet, or maybe your business has been around a while, but you haven't tapped into posting yet and saving images and you don't know what to do. Start with these photos and it will make it all easier for you. So you can get the link to Your Real Wedding Photos Club in the show notes, or you can visit idoweddingmarketing.com/sponsors. Okay, iced coffee down. The next question, they put two. So the first one was favorite podcasts. Oh, where do I even begin? I am a podcast addict. Okay. But there were a few I listened to that really helped me to kind of inspire my business. So those were Glambition Radio by Ali Brown, So Money by Farnoosh Torabi, and Side Hustle School by Chris Gillibo. And I Do Wedding Marketing was actually featured on an episode of Side Hustle School. So that is really cool. Some of my other favorite podcasts are the I Know Dino podcast, because I'm a dinosaur nerd, the Jim Hill Disney Dish Media podcast. So it's Jim Hill Media, and one of his podcasts is The Disney Dish. But I love all the podcasts within Jim Hill Media because I am also a Disney nerd. Now, we also have something to wrestle with because I am a wrestling nerd. So, really just I listen to business podcasts, manifestation podcasts, and nerdy podcasts, all, in a messy playlist together. And it's fantastic. But if I had to pick one of the most well rounded podcasts, it would be Happier with Gretchen Rubin. So Gretchen Rubin is an author. She wrote The Happiness Project, and her sister Liz Craft is a screenwriter. She writes screenplays for television shows, and they have a podcast together called Happier, where they talk about tips and tricks and things you can do, just little things that make your life easier. And you get a lot of fun inspiration from it. And sometimes they talk about pop culture, they talk about business, they talk about all different things. That's why I feel like that would be the most well rounded podcast, the one podcast to rule them all. And the next question is favorite organization tools for your business or your life. Oh, guys, there's a reason why this podcast is audio only. And that is because I'm not organized. And so this way you guys don't have to see it. But sometimes we do have to be a bit more organized in our business than we are in our life. So favorite wait, let me just think a second. Organizational tools. I have habits, but do I have tools? Okay, guys, so I had to pause and ask my husband if I had any organizational tools. And he alluded to the fact that I have notebooks everywhere and calendars. I have one calendar, but notebooks everywhere. But the calendar is a good point because I think you got to figure out what type of calendar person you are. They're just the people who like to write in a calendar, and they either have maybe a daily planner, a desktop calendar, or a wall calendar. And then there are the digital calendar people, and they're either updating that from their desktop, from their phone, or maybe even an Apple Watch. But I think the first step to organizing and knowing what tools to use is to figure out what type of calendar person you are. As far as tools for organizing social media and my clients, I use a lot of Google Sheets because I can access Google Sheets from my computer or my phone. So it's always with me. And Google Sheets is Google's version of Microsoft Excel, if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But I've also discovered that there is a community of people online who give you cheap organizational tools. My favorite is Do It on a Dime. So, if there's for any problem you have, there's a YouTube community for it. So, if you want some real good organizational tools, you should take it from the experts over at the Dollar Tree YouTube community. The next question is from my aunt asking if I'm ever going to move to Florida. And if not, maybe I can visit. I would love to visit. I don't think I'll be moving to Florida soon, but it's something that I always used to think about. The next question, another personal one, guys, was who my favorite wrestler is. And that may ruffle some feathers because it's not everybody else's Mount Rushmore, but I guess Brock Lesnar would be my number one uh, favorite wrestler if I had to pick one to rule them all. But I do want to say, I just heard the day I'm recording this that Anne Heche has passed away. She's an actress who I actually really started to love and like in a TV show called Men in Trees. I believe it was on maybe ABC. My mother and I loved this show. And it was like almost like a more family version of Alaska version of Sex in the City, where Anne Heche plays a relationship coach, Maren Frist, who has a radio show. It reads much like the podcast of today. And she ends up relocating to Alaska after her husband or her fiance is cheating on her right before their wedding. So she kind of felt she had egg on her face, ends up in a freak set of circumstances going to Alaska, and it's a really great TV show. I think you can get at least the pilot episode on YouTube, and maybe in honor of her passing, maybe they'll make that available again. I don't know, but I really recommend you check out the pilot on YouTube because it's so good, and because she's an entrepreneur in this show. I just thought it might be relevant to some of you guys. I will be doing another Q&A on this podcast soon. So if you have any questions that you would like me to answer, be sure to send me a message at I Do Wedding Marketing. It also would mean so much to me if you could take a screenshot of this episode and share it. I will be sure to share it onto my feed as well if you tag me. And of course, you could always leave a review of this podcast to let me know you're listening. I will be back tomorrow with another episode, guys, so I will see you then.